All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into some really fascinating stuff. Google Maps mysteries.
Oh, yeah.
We've got a transcript here from a video,
Okay.
and it is just packed with strange and intriguing things that people have spotted on Google Maps. You know,
Mm,
the kind of stuff that makes you zoom in and wonder, what am I really looking at here?
right.
Like, what is going on?
Absolutely.
For first stop, we are heading over to Holland,
Okay.
where there is this house that has a very unusual secret. It appears to be glowing,
Mm.
radiating this multicolored light.
Wow.
And you can see it right there on Google Maps.
You'd think with a phenomenon like that, something in the surrounding area would offer some kind of clue.
Yeah.
But just looking at the map, there's nothing, no industrial facilities or art installations nearby, nothing obvious that would explain it.
So some people are even going so far as to suggest that it could be a portal
Hmm.
or some kind of sign of extraterrestrial activity.
Wow.
It really does look otherworldly when you see the picture.
Yeah.
But before we go down that rabbit hole,
Sure.
what are some more, shall we say, grounded explanations for something like this appearing on Google Maps?
Well, you have to remember how these images are created.
Yeah.
Satellite imagery and aerial photography rely on capturing light.
Uh-huh.
And sometimes that process can result in visual artifacts or distortions.
Okay.
It could be a reflection or a lens flare,
Yeah,
or even an error in how the image was processed.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not a portal after all.
Right.
Still pretty strange to stumble across when you're just trying to, like, get directions.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
that unexpectedness is part of what makes these Google Maps mysteries so compelling.
Right.
It's like a reminder that even in our digital world,
Yeah.
there are still things that can surprise us,
Yeah.
things we can't easily explain.
Okay, speaking of surprises, our
Please.
next stop takes us to Japan, where things get even more peculiar.
Right.
We're talking about a street view image with a line of figures just standing there perfectly still, all wearing the same outfits. What's weird is their faces are obscured,
Yeah.
and it's not like Google blurred them out.
Right.
They look like they're intentionally covered.
Interesting.
What makes this even stranger
Right.
is how these figures appear and disappear in different frames of the street view.
Oh, wow.
So Google Maps uses a series of photographs taken along a route to create that seamless street view experience.
Yeah.
It's like these figures were moving between those shots,
Wow.
almost like they were only visible to the camera for brief moments.
Wow. So wouldn't those photos have been taken in a sequence?
Right.
So how could they be appearing and disappearing like that?
Yeah, that's a good question.
It could be a glitch in how the images were stitched together, but it definitely adds to the mystery.
Right.
Are we seeing some sort of digital artifact, or is there something more to it?
It's almost like they're phasing in and out of existence.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm getting a little carried away here.
Sure.
This is the kind of stuff that really sparks the imagination, don't you think? It makes you wonder what else might be lurking in the digital landscape.
It certainly does. And it highlights the inherent limitations of technology.
Yeah.
We rely on these digital tools to represent the world around us.
Yeah.
But as we're seeing, that representation can sometimes be flawed, distorted, or even incomplete.
So maybe there's more to these glitches than meets the eye. Perhaps they're revealing something about the nature of reality itself, or at least how we perceive it through a digital lens.
That's a fascinating thought, and it brings us to our next anomaly,
Okay.
which shifts our focus from the streets to something much grander, nature itself.
Okay.
Have you ever noticed how certain natural formations, when viewed from above,
Yeah.
can resemble familiar shapes or patterns?
Oh, absolutely. I remember seeing a photo of a rock formation that looked exactly like a heart.
Right.
It's amazing how nature can create such intricate designs.
Well, the example we're looking at takes that concept to a whole new level. We're talking about an entire mountain range that, when seen from a satellite view, bears a striking resemblance to a Native American's profile.
Wow.
The scale of this is immense. We're talking miles of rock formations
Yeah.
that have over millennia eroded and shifted into this distinct shape.
That's incredible. To think that something like that could occur naturally without any human intervention is just mind-boggling. It really makes you appreciate the sheer power and artistry of nature.
It does make you wonder, though, how many other hidden images or messages might be out there etched into the very landscape of our planet just waiting to be discovered.
That's a great point. It's like our planet is a giant puzzle, and we're only just beginning to piece it together. Speaking of puzzles, our next stop takes us to a mountain with a little less natural mystery and a lot more brand recognition.
Okay.
It's a giant Coca-Cola logo carved into the side of a mountain in Chile.
This one, unlike the previous example, is clearly man-made.
Right.
But that doesn't make it any less intriguing.
Yeah.
Why go through the effort of creating such a massive advertisement in such a remote location? What's the purpose? Who is the intended audience?
Well, some might say it's a testament to the power of advertising,
Sure.
reaching even the most remote corners of the world. But you have to wonder about the logistics of a project like this.
Yeah.
How did they get the equipment up there?
Right.
How long did it take to create? And perhaps most importantly, was it even worth it?
It's a bit of a head-scratcher, isn't it? This isn't just a billboard on the side of the highway.
Right.
We're talking about a massive undertaking requiring significant resources and planning.
Yeah.
It's almost like a statement, a bold declaration of the brand's reach and influence. But it also raises questions about the impact of such large-scale interventions on the natural landscape.
It definitely blurs the line between art advertising and environmental impact. And I have to admit, there's a certain irony in a company known for its sugary drinks creating a monument that's best viewed from a distance, perhaps, while hiking through nature.
It's certainly a curious juxtaposition, and it highlights the complex relationship between humans and the environment, especially in a world where branding and consumerism have become so pervasive.
Well, from a giant corporate logo to something a little more unsettling. We're heading back to Japan, where someone spotted a figure in a parking lot.
Oh,
That's giving off some serious creepy vibes.
okay.
This one is tall, thin, and has what looks like a very long head. Some people even describe it as bird-like.
And just like those figures we saw earlier,
Yeah.
this one seems to defy the logic of how Google Maps captures its street view images.
Right.
It suddenly appears in one frame and then vanishes in the next,
Yeah.
leaving us to wonder about what was happening in that brief moment of time.
Right. Like, was it just a glitch?
Yeah.
Or did something really appear and disappear like that? Here's another thing that's strange. Remember how we talked about Google blurring faces for privacy? Well, this figure's face is completely unobscured. It's almost like whoever or whatever took that photo didn't even consider blurring it out.
That's a great observation. It does raise questions about the consistency of Google's blurring policies.
Exactly. And to make it even weirder, later in this video, there's an example from Akihabara where a man's face is fully visible not just once, but multiple times, as if he's following you as you move through the street view.
It seems there are different standards for what gets blurred, and that just adds another layer of intrigue to these Google Maps mysteries.
Right.
Makes you wonder, is there some intentionality behind what's being shown and hidden? Or is it all just random chance and technical glitches?
It's a digital mystery wrapped in an enigma sprinkled with a dash of, wait, did I really just see that? But it's these kinds of questions that keep us coming back for more. The more we explore these digital landscapes, the more we realize how much we still don't know about the world around us.
And that's the beauty of it all. It's a reminder that even in our hyper-connected, data-driven world, there are still pockets of wonder, mystery, and the unknown.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that the world is full of surprises, even if they're just digital ones. But these images do make you wonder, what else might we be missing?
Right.
What other strange and fascinating things are hiding in plain sight on Google Maps, just waiting for someone to stumble upon them?
It's like a digital treasure hunt for the bizarre.
Yeah.
But speaking of bizarre, we need to talk about one more sighting in Japan before we move on.
Correct.
The tall, thin figure with the elongated, almost bird-like head that we mentioned earlier? The one just standing there in the parking lot?
Ah, yes. That one was particularly unsettling.
It really was. And the more I think about it, the more questions I have, like, why wasn't its face blurred?
Right.
We've seen other examples where faces are blurred.
Yeah.
And even one where a man's face is repeated multiple times.
Right.
It seems like Google's blurring policies are a bit inconsistent, wouldn't you say?
Definitely. And that inconsistency just fuels the speculation.
Yeah.
Some people believe that Google is intentionally leaving certain things unblurred, perhaps as a way to pique our curiosity or even direct our attention to something specific. Others think it's just random chance or maybe even a mistake on the part of the algorithms that process these images.
It's like a digital version of those blurry photos of Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster.
Right.
Is it real, or is it just a trick of the light or the technology in this case?
Yeah.
It's hard to say for sure, but that ambiguity is part of what makes these Google Maps mysteries so captivating. They tap into our sense of wonder and our desire to understand the world around us, even the digital parts of it.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. There's something inherently fascinating about the unknown, about those glimpses of something that we can't quite explain.
Yeah.
And in a world that's increasingly mapped, measured, and categorized, these Google Maps mysteries offer a reminder that there are still mysteries out there, even in the digital realm.
It's a good point. We might have mapped the entire planet,
Yeah,
but it seems we haven't quite mapped all of the mysteries it holds.
precisely. And who knows what future explorations might reveal. As technology advances and we get even more detailed and sophisticated images of our world, it's likely that we'll uncover even more of these strange and inexplicable anomalies.
It's an exciting time to be a digital explorer, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. Every time you open up Google Maps, it's like you're peering into a world of possibilities, a world where anything can happen.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe you'll be the one to discover the next great Google Maps mystery.
Perhaps we should encourage our listeners to do a little exploring of their own.
Yeah,
You never know what you might find lurking in the digital shadows.
that's a great idea. So to everyone listening, next time you're on Google Maps, take a moment to look beyond the directions and the street views. Zoom in, explore those little-known corners of the map, and see if you can spot anything unusual or out of place.
And if you do find something strange, share it with us.
Yeah.
We'd love to hear about your Google Maps discoveries.
Well, we've journeyed from a glowing house in Holland to creepy figures in Japan.
A mountain that looks like a face, a giant Coca-Cola logo etched into a hillside, and a pigeon-headed figure that appears and disappears at random. It's been quite a tour of Google Maps mysteries.
It has been a fascinating exploration indeed. But as we wrap up our deep dive, I think it's important to remember that these mysteries are more than just strange images on a screen.
Right.
They're a reflection of our own curiosity, our desire to make sense of the world around us, and our willingness to embrace the unknown.
That's a great point. These Google Maps mysteries aren't just about the strange and unusual things we see on the map. They're also about the questions they raise, the conversations they spark, and the sense of wonder they inspire.
Exactly. And that's something we should all hold on to, whether we're exploring the digital world or the physical one.
Yeah, it really is amazing how something like Google Maps can spark all this, curiosity and speculation.
It really is. It speaks to our innate desire to, explore, unravel mysteries, even those found in the digital realm.
As we've been discussing these Google Maps mysteries, I keep coming back to this idea of perception. It's like these images are challenging us to question how we see the world, both literally and figuratively.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
We often take for granted that what we see on our screens is an accurate representation of reality.
Yeah.
But as we've seen with these anomalies, that's not always the case.
Right. It's like those optical illusions where you see one thing,
Right.
but then your brain flips the image and suddenly you see something completely different.
Yeah.
These Google Maps mysteries are kind of like that. They make us question whether we're seeing the whole picture or just a distorted fragment of it.
And that distortion can stem from a variety of sources.
Yeah.
It could be technical glitches or image processing errors
Right.
or even deliberate manipulations. But regardless of the cause, the effect is the same.
Yeah.
It forces us to confront the limitations of our own perception.
It's almost like a reminder that there's always more to the story, always something lurking beneath the surface waiting to be discovered.
Right.
And that's what makes exploring these digital landscapes so exciting.
It's like we're pioneers, charting new territories, albeit digital ones.
Yeah.
And with each new discovery, each unexplained anomaly, we're expanding our understanding of not just the world around us, but also the tools we use to perceive it.
So what does this all mean for us, the everyday users of Google Maps? Should we be approaching our digital explorations with more critical eye, questioning everything we see?
I think a healthy dose of skepticism is always a good thing, especially when it comes to digital information.
Right.
But I wouldn't say we need to be overly suspicious of everything we see on Google Maps.
Yeah.
Instead, I think these mysteries should encourage us to be more mindful, more aware of the potential for distortion and manipulation.
So embrace the mystery, but don't take everything at face value.
Exactly. Remember that technology, while powerful, is not infallible.
Right.
It's a tool created by humans, and as such, it's subject to human error biases and even creative liberties.
So the next time we're using Google Maps, whether it's to find a new restaurant or to explore a far-off land, we should remember that what we're seeing is just one layer of a much more complex reality.
And who knows, maybe by paying closer attention, by being a bit more curious and inquisitive, we might stumble upon something truly extraordinary, something that challenges our assumptions and expands our understanding of the world.
Well, I think it's safe to say that our deep dive into the world of Google Maps mysteries has been a fascinating journey. We've encountered glowing houses, vanishing figures, and mountains that bear striking resemblances to human faces. We've explored the boundaries of technology perception and the very nature of reality itself.
It's been a thought-provoking exploration, and I hope our listeners have enjoyed the ride.
And who knows, maybe this deep dive has inspired you to do some exploring of your own. So the next time you open up Google Maps, take a moment to look beyond the directions and the street views, zoom in, explore those little-known corners of the map, and see if you can spot anything unusual or out of place. You never know what you might find lurking in the digital shadows.
Until next time, keep your eyes peeled, your minds open, and your sense of wonder engaged. Happy exploring!